guys, today I'm going to be showing you some of my favorite supplies for bullet journaling, so let's get started. I'm starting off with the most important thing you need, which is your actual journal. This year I've been using the Scribbles That Matter journal, and even though I've only had it for a few months, I am completely in love with it. It is a really high quality and well-made journal, and it has these beautiful embossing details on it, and as of right now, it's just the only journal for me. The main thing I really love about this journal is how the pages are super thick, so any marker or pen that I've put on it so far has not bled at all, and I mean like not even a trace of ghosting. You can see here how I've used one of my darkest colors of markers, which has typically bled on me in my past notebooks, but you can't even see a trace of it on the other side, even under the bright lights. And one of my favorite things about the journal, which I didn't even realize when I bought it, is that they have these little markers in the middle of each page, on the sides and in the middle, which makes it really easy when you're dividing your page into different types of spreads. So that notebook is my main bullet journal, but I also like to have a smaller paperback notebook, which I use for my journaling and sketches. I just like to have these in addition to my normal notebook because I normally fill these pages up really quickly, and my brain is scattered enough as it is, so I'd rather just have all my thoughts here in one place. I have a couple of brands that I've used, which I will link down below, and these are really great because they still have the dot grid pages for you to use, and the plain paper covers make it really easy for you to decorate it with washi tape or whatever else you want. The next most important supply, in my opinion, is your black pen, because you're going to be using this on every single spread. I love these fine liners by Uniball. They have lots of different weights and also a brush tip pen, which I think is pretty decent. And I use these for basically everything. I like how the ink is super black, doesn't fade too much when I erase it, and it doesn't bleed with any kind of markers I use, and it also doesn't bleed with watercolor, which is great. For some reason, I also find these more comfortable to use than micron pens, and when you're drawing for like an hour straight, that makes a really big difference. So that's why I prefer these pens. Next, I have a white gel pen. I have this one by Jelly Roll. Uniball also makes a good one that is really opaque. I find that this one is not as opaque as the Uniball one, but I like it because you can get it in a finer tip, so you can do more precise detail work and writing with this. I think a white gel pen is pretty essential when you want to make black and white spreads that have a little bit more contrast, because then you can color in big areas with black and then write over with this white pen. Okay, now that we've hit all the basics, we can move on to the more fun stuff, which is the colored markers and pens and that kind of thing. So first up, I have the Tombow dual brush pens, which I'm sure most of you already know about because a lot of people use these, and for a really good reason. They're really high quality, and I like how you basically get two markers in one because you have the brush tip and also the finer tip. The brush tip has a really nice tension to it. The only thing I don't like is that you can't really do detailed brush lettering with this. I find that I can only use these when I do larger headers because the brush is just too large and soft to do anything smaller. The specific set that I have is the Tropical color palette, and I really like this one because in addition to just liking the color palette, it has some of my favorite colors. It also gives you multiple shades of the same color, which I think is really important because then you're able to do like shadows and dual tone lettering. So even though you get a more limited palette, I feel like you can do a more detailed lettering style, if that makes sense. I think the Crayola Super Tip markers might actually be my #1 favorite marker for bullet journaling, even over Tombow dual brush pens, because they're super affordable and you can get a really large range of colors in one set. And even though the tip doesn't look like it, you can actually fake a brush lettering style with this, so it's really great to use for coloring and also for lettering. And I like how the tip sharpens to a point, so you're able to get a little more detail work as well. It's really just an all-around perfect marker for you to use in lots of different areas in your bullet journal. If you're looking for a finer tipped colored pen, then Stabilo pens might be a good fit for you. These would be perfect for you if you like to do a lot of your actual writing in colored pens, like if you want to color code your notes or something like that. These are great because all of these come in a skinny 0.4 point tipped pen. Next up, as a non-marker coloring option, I have my Prismacolor pencils. These are really great if you have a notebook that has a thinner page because colored pencils will not bleed on you, so you can layer up as much color as you want. I really like Prismacolors because they're a super high quality product and they will last so long. It's not like a marker that will dry out, and it takes a very long time to actually run through a colored pencil. I'm not even joking with you because this set is a set that my husband had since he was like 5 years old, and the only pencil that he completely ran through was red because that was his favorite color, But other than that, all of these pencils have held on strong for 20 or 25 years, so that's pretty awesome. I just wanted to show you how they compare to just a normal colored pencil on screen here. You can see how the first one I have, which is just a generic color pencil, I'm pressing really hard on this paper here, but you just don't get a lot of pigment. And then when I switch to my Prismacolor pencil, you just get so much more pigment, and you're also able to blend the colors together really well, so you can get some really good shading options. I feel like colored pencils are kind of looked at like an elementary school type of supply, and they might not look as glamorous, but you can get some pretty cool effects. I really think they're totally underrated and a great tool to have. Next up, I have a watercolor option, and I have the Derwent Inktense paint pan here. I really like this palette because the colors are very pigmented, so even though you can use it as a watercolor, you don't have to add much water to the pan to get a very pigmented look, and I think that's really important when you're using watercolors in your bullet journal, because if you add too much water on pages that are not meant for watercolor, then they're going to buckle and they might even pill. So when you can get away with a paint that gives you the color payout without all of that liquid, then you're going to have a much smoother effect. So here you can see how I'm playing with this. It really does look like watercolor, but I don't have to add much liquid to that at all. Now for the supply that everybody loves, washi tape. I'm not going to show you my whole collection because you might think I have a problem, but I just wanted to highlight some of the basic categories of washi tape that I think are essential. First, you have your basics, which is just your solids and really simple patterns like stripes and polka dots. These are always great to have because obviously they're going to go with most of the pages you do. Another category I really like to have is floral washi tape because again, I think that these go with a lot of different types of pages even if you're not specifically drawing flowers, and I also just really like flowers, so I like floral washi. And the last category is just any fun, whimsical, or colorful washi that you see and you like. These aren't going to go along with every page, but they're just fun to have. One of my personal favorites is this washi tape with gold foil cats, and I pretty much just try to put it on everything I can. Since I really like to do collages in my bullet journal, I like to have some extra little supplies. So one of these here is an old book. I like to look in thrift stores for like 50-cent or $1 books, and I like to find the ones with the yellowed pages like this. I think I need to get a different one because this is a book and I think a character is named Pimples. Every time I rip out a page, I'll see that on the page and I'm like, I don't want to have the word pimples in my bullet journal. Anyway, I need to get a new old book to rip pages out of, but I do love layering these in my layouts. I also love these 6x6 paper pads that you can get at like a craft store. They come in so many different types of patterns. I really love this like bright, colorful, yet really basic set, and they're usually double-sided pages too, which is really great, and they're just the perfect size for you to rip up and use as you wish. I also have a pretty decent collection of stickers from my many years of crafting, and I really like the ones from Freckled Fawn. They do sales pretty often too, so you can get their stickers for a pretty good price. I also really like to have alphabet and letter stickers. I like to find the ones that have numbers in them because obviously those are pretty handy for when you're bullet journaling, and these are pretty great for if you feel like you don't have a nice handwriting or if you just don't feel like lettering for a spread. And again, I do really like to use these on my layered pages because it gives you that nice collaged look. With all of this talk of collaging and layering, you definitely need a good double-sided tape to put all those layers down to make sure they don't come up. I wouldn't recommend taping your things with only washi because washi is not very sticky, so I really like using this super strong double-sided tape, but you have to make sure that where you put this is where you want it because this stuff will never come up once you put it down. Another handy little tool is this Tombow sand eraser. This is just a genius invention. It's basically like sandpaper in an eraser form, which sounds really weird, but it's really useful for when you mess up, especially if you're coloring something in a lighter color. As I'm showing you here, I'm just coloring a little bit outside of the line, and I can take that sand eraser and kind of rub it over like a normal eraser, and what it does is it basically sandpapers off the top layer of your paper where most of the ink is, and this won't always get it out completely depending on how inky your marker is or how dark the color is. So you're not going to be able to like completely erase a blacked out box here, but just for little mistakes here and there, this is pretty handy. And if it still shows, I can usually just go over it with a white gel pen, and that really removes most of the mistake. Alright, so that wraps up my favorite bullet journaling supplies. If you have any supplies that you really love that you think I should know about, please leave them in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye!